milk toast. Now with your left hand, reach out and grab your nose. Say yeah, do a high five with your friend. Up high, down low, too slow, let's go.
Good morning, y'all. Today we are going to process these peaches. I have 10.5 pounds of peaches here that I need to make some peach pie filling, which you can use for multiple different desserts, but this is a great way to preserve these. You can also just can them and preserve them that way. I like having seasoning and have it all ready to go for my desserts. So we are going to process these, but first we gotta peel them. So I wanted to show you the easy way to peel them. So I've got my peaches here that I've already washed. I've got my canning pot here with my little rack, because I'm going to throw the peaches in here, dip them for 30 seconds in boiling water and pull them up. And then right here I have the cold plunge. I have an ice bath here that we are going to dump the peaches in. I'm going to add more water to it, but we're going to dump the peaches in after that to stop the cooking process, and this is going to make it so much easier to peel. So stay tuned. So as I'm cutting these up, I wanted to tell you about my it's called a Skywrite calendar. I got it off of Amazon. I love this thing. My daughter said something about it, said her friend had one, and first let me mention I am in no way sponsored by them. I'm not sponsored by anybody, but when I see a good deal or a cool thing, I want to let y'all know. It's got different menu items along the bottom. It has a home, it has a calendar. I have it set up to the calendar. Tasks, rewards, meals, recipes. So the cool thing about this is you download the app on your phone. And then you know how when you're looking for recipes online, because you know I don't develop my own recipes, I tweak a lot of recipes. So I take little things from different recipes and kind of create something to see how it will work. Especially if I didn't like the original recipe and see something else on another recipe, I try to combine them, and that tends to work well for me. What you can do is you can, on the app, is there's this menu button on the app that you click, and you can search for menus online, like recipes online. And just even, you know how when people put those recipes online and then we have to read their whole life story before you actually get to the recipe, and you just hit the button, jump to the recipe. It drives me nuts. I hate reading 4 pages or trying to print something that's 16 pages of, and this is why I, started blah, blah, just have to listen to the whole story. So it cuts through that crap and goes straight to the recipe. And when you click send to Skywrite, it automatically sends it to your calendar, and then you can go to your recipes, and a lot of mine are under desserts, and it lists all the recipes, and it'll list it as the recipe and won't put the whole story on there. So I have loved this thing. I have used the mess out of it, and I've had it less than a month. And my daughter was mad because she was going to get me one for my birthday in November, but I beat her to it. But anywho, if you're interested in something like that, go to Amazon. It's called Skywrite Calendar. You can set it this way, or you can set it on its side. It has a little back that you can attach to it, or you can attach it to your wall. I keep it in my kitchen on my counter because it's easier to read the recipes and see what I got going on for the week and for the day. And yeah, I've really enjoyed this thing, so I highly recommend this. So first thing I'm going to do while I'm waiting for my water to boil is I'm going to, on the ends of these peaches, I'm just going to make an X through the skin, because this is going to help with the peeling process. I'm going to grab this bowl, throw them in here. Don't want to cut too deep, just enough to get through the skin. And then we will, in batches, put these in the boiling water. Then take it out of the boiling water and dump it in the ice bath to stop the cooking process. So far this year, my one tree, and I've got two that I just planted this year, one that I planted last year, and then this one that's 2 years old. So last year it only gave me about 12 peaches. This year it's given me like 92 peaches so far. And there's still a few on there, not much. The other tree probably has about 30 peaches on it that I planted last year. So I got enough peaches so far where I'm going to be able to make about 10 quarts of this peach pie filling, and made 18 quarts of the, or 18 half pints of the peach jelly. So I think I did very well this year, and I didn't have to buy one peach. Now, when you're making jelly and stuff, you can use the frozen peaches from the grocery store. It's just nice to grow your own, save you some money. I got these hex-clad knives. Invested in those. I'm on the fence about them. I don't know. They do cut well. But I have followed the directions, and I haven't put them in the dishwasher, and I've hand washed them. And is it this one? I kind of noticed that they're getting little gouges in the tip and here, so it's a lot of money to spend for some that just act like something that acts like a regular knife. So I do like the block that I got with it, but yeah, I'm just think they were overpriced and for the quality. All right, I'm gonna finish cutting these up and then we will be back. Okay guys, while I'm waiting for my water to boil so I can start peeling the peaches, I got my other ingredients together. So for my equipment, I've got my jelly pot that I'm just going to do the peach pie filling in, a big ladle and a big funnel so I can ladle the peaches into the jars. I've got my wide mouth rings and my ball wide mouth lids. Highly recommend using ball instead of those off brands because I waste so many lids not getting a seal with the off brands, and I tend to all the time get a seal with that 100%. So here for the ingredients, I've got just under 8 cups of water. I've got 10.5 cups of sugar and 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. I've got 3.25 cups, 3.25 cups, I'm sorry. I've got 3.25 cups of the whip plus 1/2 tablespoon of ClearJel. Now, don't use Sure Jell. If you use Sure Jell, you're going to end up with peach jelly with big chunks of peaches in it. The difference is ClearJel is a thickener, so it's got the cornstarch in it. Sure Jell, this is kind of an equivalent, this is the ball, is fruit pectin. So that's what you use to get your jelly to gel. So you don't want to use this in your pie filling. You want to use ClearJel, and people will get this mixed up thinking, oh, I can just use Sure Jell. Ask me how I know. But anyways, ClearJel. This is a thickener. This is what you're going to use. I've actually accidentally used this too to make jelly. And guess what? I didn't get jelly. I just got really thick sauce. So, which I kept. I canned it. I kept it. You can use it on ice cream, different desserts, fillings, etc. But yeah. So I'm all ready for this to get started, so that once I peel and cut my peaches up, then all we'll have to do is put it together in that pot over there and cook it on the stove. We'll be back. I forgot to add lemon juice for the recipe, so I am using 2½ cups of lemon juice for the actual filling. I've got 3/4 of a cup sitting here for to toss the peaches in after we cool them and peel them so they don't turn brown. So with this recipe, it's going to make me 10 quarts. So you can half it or do whatever you need to do a couple quarts, but I'm doing 10 quarts, so this is how I modified the recipe. Okay, y'all, we got some boiling water here, so I'm gonna throw some of these peaches in a single layer in my little rack. They end up floating away when I get in there. I got my little spider thing to fish them out. And these get a little hot when they're over the fire, so I'm gonna use my mitts. I'm gonna drop these in. See, I've lost some through the holes, but here we go. Drop those in. I'm gonna time it for 1 minute and just eyeball them, see if I need to pull them out. You want them in at least 30 seconds. Bigger peaches you don't need to worry about falling through the sides, but I've got smaller ones, so I think I might have some, lose some. We'll just fish them out. Now, if for some reason you're having trouble peeling them, you didn't get them in there long enough, yeah, they're doing good. You can plop them back in. I'm probably gonna have to fish a couple of those out, but so I stuck those in the ice bath behind me. I'm gonna fish these out. Might be easier just to plop all of them in there. Okay, we're gonna bring this back up to a boil and throw some more in there. So here's the ones I just threw in there, and you can see how the peels just slide right off. So you're not wasting a lot of peaches. So we're just gonna go ahead and peel these peels right off here. Just like that. And then when we cut them up, if there's any extra peel left, we can just process those or just cut those off. But yeah, so the same thing with tomatoes. You can do the same thing with tomatoes. Drop them in the water and then put them in the cold bath, and then they makes them a lot easier to peel. So I'm going to put you over here so I can have 2 hands to peel these. All right, I'm gonna try not to get myself burnt here. Toss a bunch more in here. It's a little bit safer. I'm just gonna toss them all in here. Yeah, this way is much easier. Just dump them all in here. That's what I did last year. I don't know why I thought this. So we're just gonna do this for a minute, maybe a little longer. You might get that stubborn peach that the peel won't come off. I put it in a couple times and still can't get it to peel off, so I just used a knife. But the rest of them peeled pretty easy. So I've already chopped them up, took the pits out, chopped them up, tossed them in some lemon juice so they don't brown on me. So the next step after this is we're going to wash this out, fill it with more water, and start heating it again. And then I'm actually going to put my jars in there while it's heating, just so they get hot, so that when we put the hot liquid in them, they won't crack. So we'll come back. All right, now we're going to mix the filling. So what I did is I combined the ClearJel, the cinnamon, and the sugar. And then I'm going to add, it's just a little less than 8 cups of water. And get that all combined, and then I'm going to turn the heat on. And then what we're going to do is we're going to heat this until it becomes thick and bubbly. Then we'll add the lemon juice, bring it back to the boil, let it boil for another minute, and then we'll add the fruit. So I got my fruit all cut up. I'm just using a whisk just to make sure everything gets all unclumped. Now, instead of water, you can use peach juice. You can get store-bought peach juice. I just used water. And I'm not going to steam juice more peaches just to get juice to do this. So I can make jelly with that. So we'll come back when this is bubbly and thick. Alright, y'all, this is starting to get hot, thick, and it's starting to get a little bubbly. It's getting hard to stir. You can see the bubbles coming up, so I'm going to add this lemon juice. It's bottled lemon juice. I'm going to add that. Stir that in. Get it all combined. And then once I get it combined, we're going to let this cook for about another minute, and then add the fruit. this is nice and thick. And what I did is I drained the peaches, then I pitted them and cut them into chunks and coated them with the lemon juice that we reserved. And then I put them back in the colander to let them drain for a second time. So now, this has been cooking for a minute, so I'm going to add these in. Lose any. See how thick that is. And we're going to stir these in, and then we're going to cook these for 3 minutes. So let's get these nice and stirred in and combined. Now, if you're using frozen peaches, you know you want to drain it. Save that juice and use that instead of the water. You can do that instead of buying peach juice. Or combine what's drained off those frozen peaches with water so you get the amount you need for this. I'm going to set this for 3 minutes. Probably could have used a larger pot, but it's all good. It's all fitting. So I made some of the chunks a little larger than others. I didn't want to cut them too small where they ended up just cooking down the mush, but you're not cooking it for too long on here. Now, when you can these, you can store them for up to 12 months. You cut off on me because my GoPro got hot. It was sitting over the stove. So, like I said, these can store for up to 12 months, unlike jelly that you can keep on the shelf for 24 months. So we got about another 45 seconds to go. But I can't remember what I was talking about. I know I cut these into larger and small pieces. I don't want to do them all real small because you don't want it to turn into mush. You want your peaches to stay whole. So 30 more seconds, we'll cut this heat off, and then we will get the jars out and start filling the jars. Okay, I got my hot jars out. I got my ladle, my funnel, and my measuring tool. So what we're going to do is we're going to ladle this hot liquid into these hot jars. Remember, that's why you heat your jars up, because you put hot and cold, you run the risk of cracking the jar. And then we want to leave an inch headspace at the top. Remember, with our jelly we left 1/4 of an inch. With this we're going to leave an inch. Perfect. And then once I get these filled, I'm going to take this and kind of go through and make sure I get all the air bubbles out. if we'll get 10. I don't know if we'll get 5. It's always a guesstimate on how many you're going to get. You know, recipes say one thing, but it's always less. It's just like the cookie recipes. They tell you you'll get this many dozen, and you end up with 3/4 of that, if even just half. And then, once we get done doing this, we are going to wipe the tops of these with the white vinegar to clean off any junk. Piece that fell down. Put that in there. Ooh, it's hot. I don't waste any of this. Well, you expect the worst, hope for the best, and I think we might get 8 quarts out of this. A tickle in my throat. And I got a little bit left in the pot, so that'll help fill whatever to make up if I need more headspace. So let's measure these. So that looks like it had an inch. I might be able to put a little bit more in there. And actually, I'm going to kind of get the air bubbles out. I just run this along the side just to get any air bubbles out, and that'll make it go down too. Okay, it looks like we can use a little bit more in this one. A little bit more in that one. Now when they say headspace, so these little notches are measured. So this last notch is 1 inch. And if I put this in, I got way too much in that one. So I need to spoon some out of that. You want to have the exact headspace that it calls for. Because you don't want this bubbling over, losing your seal, and water ends up getting into it. And then you've just wasted a whole thing. So the tip of this, when I do the inch, should be just touching the top, not going underneath. So we got a little bit too much in that one. So I take some of this out. I just try to find the smaller jars that could use a little extra. It's just a little too much. Okay. Okay, I think we are good. All right. Oh, y'all, that's so good. So now, I'm gonna wash my hands. I'm going to take my white vinegar and we're gonna wipe these rims. We're gonna wipe around them and the tops of them. We don't need these anymore. So this is good for pie, cheesecake topping, ice cream. You know, filling cupcakes. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do with this peach pie filling, and it's so fresh tasting. And I like canning it because, well, I don't want my peaches to go bad, but in the winter time, we can pull this out and have a little summery dessert. Not that it gets really cold here in South Carolina, but it's just nice to have. And make a cheesecake and we're doing this because you don't want any food debris on these rims, because we're trying to create a seal when we water bath can, so that we can preserve this for a year. And if you have any kind of food on here, then you're not going to get a good seal, and you run the risk of it leaking. And sometimes it leaks without a good seal and water gets in, and that happened to one of my jellies last week. So, and then it was just ruined. Now I don't like canning just plain old peaches, because I like using this in baking, and this is just versatile. I can make anything with this pie filling. And same thing with jelly. I like making jelly and pie filling. With my tomatoes, I just don't can the tomatoes. I make salsa and can the salsa, and if I have grew tomatillos, I make the salsa verde. So I'm gonna take my lids and place them on top. Now, some people heat these up in warm water, and I've heard different stories about how you shouldn't do that because the wax gets too melty and doesn't create a good seal. I usually, with Ball brand, I don't have to do that, but if I'm using an off brand, I do, because I go through so many lids with those off brands trying to get a seal and have to start over and reprocess. So I'm going to take this, screw it on, and then finger tight. Take this, screw it on, finger tight. You're not trying to get it all, you know, as tight as you can. Finger tight. Alright, let me bring you back where we're putting these in the canner. Another one to balance this out. So I'm going to get my mitts. And drop these in. Now, notice how some are not totally submerged. I am going to fill that water up so I have at least 1 or 2 inches above. When they're tall like that, 2 inches might be a bit much, it might boil over, but you want at least 1 inch of water above these. So what I'm going to do is we've got about 1 inch of water above them, so they're submerged. I'm going to hunt down the lid for this because I think I left it out in the back. So I'm going to get the lid, put the lid on this. The 30-minute processing period starts when this is rolling boiling. So when you see it bubbling all over, that's when you hit your timer for 30 minutes. We'll be back. So you notice I just put 4 in there, and I have 4 more jars I could have put in here, but I want to balance them out. And if I ended up just having 1 to process, you saw how that other one was flip-flopping over. So this way it balances it out and they stay upright. So we're gonna put this lid on, wait for it to come to boil, then set the timer for 30. Y'all, I have to show you what I did. My Oikos 000 I think I just made it 1,000 when I added this, but I added some of that peach pie filling to it, and oh lordy, it's so good. Just another way to use your pie filling. We'll be back. Well, they went ahead and popped on their own, so we made a good seal here. So we're in the process of processing the other 4, and then we'll be done. We'll be back. So here we've got 8 quarts of peach pie filling made from the peaches from my peach trees out back. These will stay on the shelf for up to 12 months, so I'll date the top tomorrow. You want to leave these alone for 24 hours. Don't take the rings off, don't play with them. Just leave them alone. I'm going to, it looks like most of them have sealed. I got one that doesn't look like it's sealed, so we'll watch that. But if I have to put it back in, I'll put it back in. But after the 24 hours, I'll take the rings off, and then I'll store them in a cool, dark place like my pantry. You don't want to stack these. Just store them on a shelf in a single row, because if you stack them, you run the risk of breaking the seal, or if the seal does break, you wouldn't know it, and then you'll have a stinky mess on your hands. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will catch you on the next one.